What I want to focus on today is that we have to move past guilt and we have to begin to create a lifestyle based upon recognition of what it is that is going on and what we're doing. Now, let's start out by understanding our weight loss program is a choice that you made. If you had not made that choice, then food would not be an issue. So the only reason food is a choice is because you said, I want to lose weight, and therefore we focus on food. Step one then is agreeing that you have to make choices. And based upon those choices, we move ahead. Number two, this is a chemical weight loss program. It is not a diet. And because it's a chemical weight loss program, the only person you ever cheat on is yourself. And the reason that you cheat is because pressures on the outside, call them temptations on any level, call it stress, call it cold weather, call it hot weather, call it whatever you like. But those thoughts impinge on you, and you have learned since you were a child to use food to comfort yourself. And that's where this word guilt came from, because you recognize that when you are cheating on yourself. But you've gone past that because you've also said, I don't care that I'm cheating myself. I'm feeling miserable and I want to be comforted, and therefore I'm using food to do that. Now, I want you all to do something for me right now. I want you to try to be angry. Okay, try to feel it. Try to feel angry. I'll bet you that you have a difficult time feeling angry. And the reason you're having a difficult time feeling angry is you've got nothing to attach it to. Now, if you were an actor, you could pick a circumstance or a situation, and based upon that circumstance or situation, you could conjure up anger. Now, let's talk about being in the movies. And we've gone to see a scary movie. Now, you know it's a movie, and you know it's scary. And something is happening on the screen, and you notice something very, very interesting. Your heart is now beginning to race, and you're feeling frightened. It's a movie. And the reason is you can't control your feelings, and your feelings are connected to your physiology. Now, how do we deal with it? How about get up, walk out of the theater. Now you're down outside the theater. And what's happening? You're not anxious anymore. The fear of the movie is not controlling you. And look at your heartbeat. It is slowing down. You're comfortable again. Now, Let's go back into the movie again. He's going on, and all of a sudden, you smell. And what you're smelling is buttered popcorn. And it's a scary movie. And you're thinking, ooh, that smells good. And so you go down into the lobby and you buy the buttered popcorn because you know if you eat the buttered popcorn, you're going to feel comforted. I need to get you to begin to get beyond the guilt and to recognize that, and this is really important, I need you to recognize that control is always within your grasp. Sorry about that. They're working in the background and they clouded my screen temporarily. Now, I want you to recognize something. How about, and I'm going to do it, raise my right hand. Raise my left hand. I had no problem doing that. I had control. And the reason I've had control is because historically I have learned to do certain things, and those things are easy for me so that I can conjure them up. What we are dealing with here is the fact that when you started AccuWeight, you made a commitment. You made a commitment to lose weight. And the only way you could commit to losing weight was to commit to altering the way in which you dealt with food. So food was an issue only because of the fact that you've chosen to lose weight. If weight were not an issue, then food would not be an issue. Yet, all of these situations and circumstances, these emotional situations and circumstances, impinge on us and impinge upon our ability to take control. So I want to change something conceptually. I've been saying to myself, and that's fine. I have been saying be proactive, and that's fine. But what I want to now put into your heads is a different thought. I asked you to raise your hand. You had no problem. You did it. I asked you to raise your other hand. You had no problem. You did it. And the reason you did it is you always have the ability to control. You always have the ability to control. So when you are experiencing something, and let's take it onward. Something happened. Oh, I've got a good one. I've been wanting, now I'm making up a story, but we're following it through. I've been wanting to date this gal for a period of time, but one thing or another has constantly come up, and we've been unable to establish a time and place to date. Last week, she spoke with me on the phone and she said, "Terrific. Let's go out Saturday night." Saturday night, she called me and she said to me, "I'm sick. I have a cold. I have to cancel." I felt miserable. And it depressed me. Now, the fact that I heard in the background coughing, sneezing, made no difference. I was turned down, and it impacted on me, and I felt miserable. And nothing could console me. Following day, on Sunday, someone I know came to the door and said, "Hey, how about we go out and go for a run?" And I said, I'm in no mood to go for a run. I feel miserable. And he said to me, "Come on, you'll feel better. Come with me. Let's go for a run." And I said, "No, I'm too miserable." And he pushed and pushed until finally I said, "Okay." And out we went over to the high school because I feel comfortable on running on the high school track. And we started to run. And he started to run faster. And before I recognized it, I was competing with him. And I wasn't going to let him win. He was running, I was running, and I wasn't going to let him win. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that I recognize by doing something, by acting in a particular kind of way, I got caught up in the physical activity. I forgot about the fact that I was supposed to be depressed, that I was feeling lousy, and now I was focused on beating him. Doing is the key. Doing means I am in control. So let's start focusing on what we are talking about, because if we're going to enhance our ability to be successful, the recognition of everything, but the core of which is, if I am focused, I will always have control. And if I have control, then I'm going to be successful. Now, there's conscious and there's not conscious. In my life of the past, the unconscious was critically important because what we experience impacted on us, and we learned based upon that unconscious to act and behave in certain ways that made us feel good. One of our jobs is to take care of ourselves. But the key is that most people don't understand the difference between passive And you can control by being passive and by being proactive and controlling being. Now, by proactive, I mean doing. Another example of the proactivity and the doing would be the magic protocol. Now think about it. The thought is in my head. I want to cheat. And the reason I want to cheat is because all kinds of stress has been going on in my life, and I am uncomfortable with that stress, but I know that if I do something, and in this case, some kind of let's call it food for generalization, for some reason, I know that if I use food, it's going to comfort me. But I also realize that once I'm comforted, I'm going to feel guilty. Oh, why did I do that? I do it all the time. I mess up all because I want to satisfy my urge, and I can't control the fact that I have an urge. And there must be something wrong with me because I always make the wrong choices. Now, I can go on and fill this up with a million stories, but then we don't have to. We don't have to revert back to going into therapy and learning and understanding all the things that drive us. I'm going to be doing. Now, what do? I take 3 Tic Tacs. I put them in my hand. And I'm aware of the fact that these Tic Tacs are under my control. I'm the boss. The thought of that food and that comfort from that food, I can hear it, I can see it, I can smell it, I want it. And I'm thinking at the same time, oh man, you always break down and back and forth I'm going, back and forth, back and forth. Instead, this time, I am going to be doing. If I use these Tic Tacs and I put them in my mouth, the taste of these Tic Tacs will prevent me from cheating. So all I have to do is take these Tic Tacs and agree to put them in my mouth, and the taste and the feeling of those Tic Tacs is going to stop me. But now there's that ambivalence. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? And I'm getting bothered and frustrated by my own ambivalence. This time, however, I say, I like you enough to help you out. And I'm going to take these Tic Tacs and I'm going to put them in your mouth. Now, switch them around. So now I'm swishing around the Tic Tacs. And the flavor and the power of those Tic Tacs is filling my mouth. Hey, you gave yourself something. Yes, I did. It wasn't nearly as good as what you would have cheated with, would it? Darn right it wasn't. But you did give yourself something, didn't you? And who gave yourself something? You gave yourself something. How does it feel? Well, I have a mixed feeling. I still want that cheat. But you said you have a mixed feeling. I said, yeah. The mixed feeling I have is Even though I wanted the comfort of that cheat, I wanted to feel important and in control. And by putting those Tic Tacs in my mouth, I recognized that I would give myself enough strength to be incapable of cheating. And so two things happen. One, I move a step closer to my goal of weight loss. Secondly, I took care of myself. I took control of myself. I recognize that I'm imperfect. I recognize that I can break down. And I recognize that I control my breaking down. And that the price I have to pay feels pretty good right now. Because what I truly wanted above everything else, and I certainly wanted the comfort of that cheat. I knew it would feel good. And while I was doing it, I would love it. But I also knew I would be guilty, and I would feel that guilt. And I would have thoughts of recrimination and why do I do it? But by taking control, by saying I'm going to do this because I care enough about myself to actually go for my goal. And by going for my goal and actually doing that, I didn't cheat. I stayed in control. And I recognized that I made myself number one. And every single time I do that, I will make myself number one. And I like being the most important person in my life. Because I suddenly realized what the airplanes had been telling me. Put your mask on first. Because if you don't put the mask on first, you're not going to be able to help anyone else. So helping myself first, of being a someone that I liked being. I recognize my imperfection. I recognize the fact that I have weaknesses. I recognize the fact that I cheat on myself in order to feel good. But I recognize all of that is an excuse. It's based on habit. It's based upon life history. But all I need to do is to consciously implement what I'm capable of doing. Weight loss is a choice. You don't have to lose weight. Now, I don't care whether it's medical or not. You do not have to lose weight. That's a choice for whatever your reason is to do it. And the reason is struggle is because you're dealing always with feelings of comfort that relate to having to control stuff inside your head. I'm not perfect, and neither are you. And you don't know anyone who is perfect. And no one that you know knows anyone who is perfect. So all of us have our weaknesses. And while we're at it, all of us have our opinions. Now, let's deal with that right now, too. I have an opinion. And you have an opinion. Now, what's interesting is my opinion is different than your opinion. And now we're talking. And I suddenly realized that you and I are doing something that we're not aware of. I know that my opinion is right, and therefore your opinion is wrong. You know, because you've told me, that your opinion is right, and therefore my opinion is wrong. And what is it that we're doing? You and I are trying to convince each other to give up their opinion and to accept yours. Do I have the facts? I'm not sure at this point because I don't know what we're actually talking about. You don't know either. But based upon what's going on in your head, you believe yourself to be correct. And therefore, the issue is unless we have the facts, the exercise we just did is critical because the exercise we just did said, I am taking control. I know what my goal is. And since I know what my goal is, I'm going to try to meet it. And I'm going to do it in a manner that doesn't reflect on my personal weakness. My goal is to lose weight. My want is I want the comfort of the cheat. Now, why did I choose to lose weight? Why did I make that commitment? Let's focus on that. Every single one of you who is sitting there has made a commitment to lose weight. Do you agree to the commitment that you made? Why are you doing this? And here's something that's really important. And it's going to lead back in a moment to one of my, so to speak, stories. The reason I want to lose weight and the reason I'm making this commitment is because of the fact that my wife is unhappy with my weight. And I'm going to do this in order to lose weight to make my wife happy, because a happy wife is a happy life. And now we're moving along. And I've had an incredibly difficult day at work. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I went for a walk. It didn't help. I read a little bit. It didn't help. I still felt miserable, and I realized that there was some food out there that if I had it, even for a moment, I'd have that feeling, that glow inside myself of having comfort. And so I took it. And then I realized that the reason I took it is because she wouldn't know. I wouldn't tell her. She wouldn't know. But I felt guilty. Oh, no big deal. It's an easy thing. But I felt guilty. And why did I feel guilty? Because I realized that my commitment was not for me. My commitment was for her. Now, if I could have agreed fully to make the commitment for her, maybe that would have made a difference. But it didn't make a difference. It's because the only reason I did it is to make her feel good. It doesn't make me feel good. So now let's go back. Why are you choosing to lose weight? It has to be for you. Because doing is the key, whether it's conscious or not conscious. Doing is the key. And you can't maintain a commitment to yourself unless you have a reason and a rationalization that makes sense. Remember the other part. Feelings are just that. And something I want you to understand. Number one, just because you feel it doesn't make it so. And I'll give you an old example. I'm making this one up, but it's an old example. I'm young, and there's a thunderstorm, and there's lightning, and all of a sudden I hear this tremendous thunder, and the thunder upset me. And then it happened again, and I felt fear. And it passed. X number of years later, I'm in my home, and all of a sudden there is this loud, thunderous noise. There's no storm. I hear this loud, thunderous noise. And the entire experience of the fear, the anxiety, the helplessness popped up inside my head. Just because I felt it didn't make it so. And there's an extra part. I didn't understand lightning and thunder when I was a kid. Today, I understand lightning and thunder. In fact, one of the games that I play is when I see lightning, I count 1N, 2N, 3N, and the number of, I call them seconds, that are between the flash of lightning and the thunder tells me how far or near the center of the storm is. And it's a game that I play. Because as the storm moves away, the sound difference between lightning first and then sound. Light travels faster than sound. The sound occurs at the same time as the lightning, but it doesn't reach you until later. Now, I know that as an adult, but regardless of the fact, I felt fear. I felt anxiety. Now, I happen to be an adult now. The mind began to work. I put it all together. and the fear and the anxiety dissipated. But there are so many things in life that we don't make that same connection with, yet they cause us to feel certain things, and we're not happy with those certain things that we feel. And again, that's one of the reasons I created the Magic Protocol, because it uses the adult part of you to recognize you always have control. You may not be able to control your feelings, but as in the movie, you knew it was a film. You knew it was a horror film. You knew there were going to be, even though it was a movie, that were going to scare you. And when they began to occur, you felt fear, and you also felt your heart rate begin to go up. But in this case, you had the answer, didn't you? All you had to do was get up, walk out of the theater, and as you started to walk out of the theater, the reality that it was a film, the reality that was it scared you because of the situation and circumstances. But as you begin to cognitively recognize the connection, the fear subsided, control was there, the heartbeat slowed down. The key here is to understand how your commitment is going to impact on your future life. Let me give you the other example. I shared it with you not too long ago. The guy who said to me after losing well over 100 pounds that he didn't understand how his life had changed. He'd lost well over 100 pounds. And the question he said was, Dr. Schwartz, how could I have been close to 200 pounds heavier than I am now? And I felt invisible. I was huge. Now I'm almost 200 pounds different. I'm so much smaller. And yet, I've got a new job. I've had a promotion. People talk to me. I'm visible. I'm real. I'm the me that I like, because the commitment I made was to myself. I decided to become important enough in my own life to take care of myself in a manner that made me feel good about taking care of myself. All of us have that ability. There are some who can lose weight, and they do so by doing whatever it is they do. With most of us, it's a hypothalamus gland that's out of sync. And AccuWeight focuses on just that. But that's not enough. That's simply some insight and understanding. It doesn't do anything. Now I watch myself do the things chemically that address the reason my hypothalamus is out of sync. Those are chemical things. They are chemical behaviors. One of the things that I've talked about, and all illness relates to that. You get a cut. It may be swollen. It may be painful. What's happening though, the body sends white blood cells to the area to help repair it. That's healthy inflammation. And then there's the other kind of inflammation. Our bodies were not made to consume many of the things that we consume. Now, think about consuming something over a period of time and compare it to a piece of sandpaper rubbing on something very thin. It would cause an irritation and inflammation. Sugar in your life. Now you know darn well how appealing sugar is. You know how darn well certain foods are comforting and appealing to you. But you also know that if you continue to do what it is that you were doing, your overall self is going to deteriorate. How many of us are taking medicines to cure some problem within ourselves, as opposed to doing something that prevents the illness from taking place? You know, I can remember as a kid when antibiotics had been created and the doctor saying, you have a virus and therefore I'm not going to give you an antibiotic. That's still true. Viruses cannot be cured by antibiotics. And that's why, for example, vaccines were invented. But everything in your life has an impact on a cumulative basis. When I decided to lose weight, it was because Dr. Chu made sense. And that was the biggest thing. And I'm going to tell you his exact words, not the ones that I've been using. If you remember, I would say, he said to me, Dr. Schwartz, you're going into the weight loss business. You cannot be an overweight doctor. He didn't say that. He said, Dr. Schwartz, if you're going into the weight loss business, you have no right to be fat. You've got to do something about it. And since what we've done proves that you can lose weight, that's what you need to do before you go into the weight loss business. In 3 months, I lost 84 pounds. It was a difficult 3 months. And the reason it was a difficult 3 months is because I didn't believe. My commitment was not there. It made no sense to me. I was doing it because I wanted out of being a psychologist. I wanted to be a weight loss doctor. And the only way I could do it was to lose weight. I couldn't be fat sitting talking to you and being fat. So I didn't lose the weight for me. I had a reason. Now my reason is different. I recognize that when I take care of myself, my choices open up. It's how I now eat, not what I eat. And hopefully I use the scale in the same way that you use the scale. My scale doesn't lie. It tells me the truth no matter how I feel or what I've done or where I am. When I get on that scale, it says, you are, and it gives me a number. Now, from when I did the program, I have a number. That was my goal. And I wish to stay always within 4 to 5 pounds of that final goal weight. That's rational. It's reasonable. I have a judge who's going to tell me the truth, so I can't get mixed up in all that kinds of things. And that's why I love our stabilization program. But now I have to decide. Am I important enough to me to do the things that I need to do in order to stay within those 5 pounds that I've said is the best for me, and I like me to be within that? And the answer is yes. I no longer diet. I don't have to diet. I told you, I can indulge, but if I indulge, I have to prepare for it. I'm constantly thinking, but not obsessing. I'm going out. I'm going to be confronted with this, and this. Ignore it. And if I ignore it, after a week or two, what's going to happen? My weight is going to go up, and then all kinds of negative thoughts and feelings are going to be inside me. But instead of ignoring it, I planned. So, for example, I created the one meal a day concept. And you want to know something? Neither you nor I, unless we are hungry, need more than one meal a day. Now, I'm going to go to some questions, and let me say this. AccuWeight is a philosophy. We are a community. My job, and I've committed to that, and you've agreed to it, is I'm the Sherpa guide. My job is to hold your hand as we walk through the forest. And we want to get to the other side of the forest. But there are all kinds of situations and circumstances as we go through the forest. My job is to point them out to you and help you make better choices for yourself. And when you make better choices for yourself, you like the self that you are. And you recognize that we're all imperfect. And so therefore, we have the magic protocol as well. That magic protocol says that you are not perfect, and therefore you're going to break down and you're going to give in. Breaking down and giving in is not good for you right now. But because you're imperfect, you know you're going to break down. So instead, I do something that I can control. I take the Tic Tacs, I put them in my mouth, and the flavor of the Tic Tacs will fill my mouth. I'm the one who made the choice. I'm the one who put the Tic Tacs in my mouth. I'm the one who recognized that the feeling has no relevance, but the taste of the Tic Tacs is going to override everything, and it will make it impossible for me to cheat. I want to cheat, but I can't. And I can't because I made it impossible for me to cheat. And I like being the boss of me. And I want you to be the boss of you. And I want you to recognize how good it feels to be the boss of yourself. 2, I hate chasing you. Please. We have questions. The only foolish question, and I don't know how many times I've said that, if you do not know the answer, how could the question be foolish? And this one says, oh, it's such a simple thing. How come you didn't know? You're stupid. The person who said that is the person who has the problem. Because if you don't know, it's because you don't know. There's nothing to do with your intelligence. And by asking, you say, I'm important enough to ask a question that's going to be good for me when I learn the answer. That doesn't mean I'm going to like the answer, but it's going to be good for me. And how I implement it is going to be important. So start emailing questions, calling the consultant, call me 973-243-0777